Hey there, explorers. Tonight we're coming to you from the Magic Kingdom. It is Christmas time. We are amidst the Christmassy Christmasness of a Christmas in the Magic Kingdom. I don't know if I can be more clear than that. They go all out everywhere in Walt Disney World, but if they go out hardest, it's gonna be here on Main Street USA. I mean, look at it all. Look, there's so many lights, so many more lights. Candy and window shopping, candy sponges and deliciousness. And of course, that sweet, sweet holiday merchandise. Ah! Even the castle gets in on the fractally festive goodness of the season. But one of my favorite Christmas time touches happens just across the street over there at the Main Street Emporium. I'm speaking, of course, about the Main Street Emporium shop windows. I'm going backwards. Spoilers, spoilers. For a majority of the year, these windows are occupied by single movies that are having their scenes told through these windows. Movies like Toy Story, Peter Pan, and Snow White, and exactly 3 more. There's 6 of those windows here. But at Christmas time, each of the 6 Main Street Emporium windows gets switched over to tell the classic episodic yarn of a classic Disney retelling of a classic Christmas story. Of course, I'm speaking none other than the Santa Claus 2. Not really, but I would show up for that. No, I'm talking about the classic 1983 Disney movie, Mickey's Christmas Carol, which, as you guys all know, is just the Christmassy version of, you know, Ghosts of Girlfriends Past. I'm sure you guys know the gist, but just in case you don't, here's a brief history of the story, and especially the adaptation. A Christmas Carol by Chuck Dickens was first published in 1843. The novella in 5 staves takes place against the bitterly frigid London of past and follows the supernatural Christmas Eve of one curmudgeonly Ebenezer Scrooge, who lives with unsavory opinions on the holiday, the lives of his employees, and those among London living in dire poverty. The night begins with the haunting of Jacob Marley, Scrooge's former partner in business, dead 7 years. Marley wails to Scrooge, suffering amidst eternal woe and torment, the result of the indifference and coldness his own life had formed. He cautions Ebenezer that should his greed and detachment remain unchanged, he will share a similar fate. In perhaps a bit of goodwill, Jacob Marley heralds the arrival of 3 Christmas spirits, the ghost of Christmas past, present, and yet to come. If thereafter Ebenezer should stay unmoved, he will be doomed like Marley, bound in the afterlife by the formidable chains he shaped in living. And one by one, they come. Each of these spectral visits show us something more about Scrooge the man, and slowly but surely inch our bitter protagonist closer and closer to that sweet, sweet Christmas redemption. Yes, even the hardest of hearts can be softened by the holiday. Even the most cold-hearted among us can find warmth and transformation in the spirit of Christmas. The night sees Ebenezer Scrooge a changed man, as evidenced by his sudden and unexplainable surge of generosity and a reignited compassion for those around him. A man remade, a soul reborn, all because of Christmas. A Christmas Carol, I think, is one of the greatest stories ever written, and I believe that because it's been adapted and told in so many unique and specific ways. I'm sure if questioned, each of us could name a handful of those adaptations. Just for reference, here are my top 5. And there's a dozen more to choose from at least. Each of these adaptations hit the same beats. The bad guy, sad guy, is haunted by a former friend who warns the impending of guided ghostly excursions that will showcase recollections of a more innocent past, the ignorance of a warm joy found in the present moment, and the foreboding shadows of a possible future, followed by genuine redemption and atonement. God bless us, everyone. By the time Mickey's Christmas Carol rolled around in 1983, the story had been around for nearly 150 years, and had probably been adapted for the stage or the screen the same number of times at least. Nevertheless, Mickey's Christmas Carol still managed to charm the masses with its interesting approach to the story. Mickey's Christmas Carol takes the familiarity of the classic Dickens tale, adds a bit of welcome lightheartedness, and fuses it with the lovable characters and especially the lovable personalities we'd come to adore from the Disney catalog. This Disney-fied adaptation was first conceived in 1974 on a short musical LP released by Disneyland Records. It followed many of the same beats as the eventual short film, the most notable differences being the inclusion of more songs and that the Ghost of Christmas Past was played by Merlin from The Sword in the Stone, and the Ghost of Christmas Future was played by the old hag from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. For the film, Mickey's Christmas Carol gave the titular role of Ebenezer Scrooge to Scrooge McDuck himself, at the time known almost primarily for his presence in a popular Disney comic book series and a slew of educational short films. He had gained notoriety by being the wealthiest duck in all of existence, Scrooge his namesake. Other supporting cast included Mickey Mouse as the warm-hearted and underpaid Bob Cratchit, Donald Duck as Scrooge's jovial nephew Fred, a conscientious Jiminy Cricket from Pinocchio took to the screen once more as the Ghost of Christmas Past. The gigantic presence of Willie the Giant from Mickey and the Beanstalk returned as the Ghost of Christmas Present, even repeating one of the funniest bits in his previous film. And the Scoundrel Pete returns as the Ghost of Christmas Future. The film boasted an eye-catching and enjoyable supporting cast of familiar Disney characters we had known from previous films like Robin Hood, the Aristocats, and the Three Little Pigs, most notably featuring a handful of characters from The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad, starring J. Thaddeus Toad himself as the jolly and affable Mr. Fezziwig. Just brilliant casting all around. Mickey's Christmas Carol would also be the first return of Mickey Mouse to the silver screen in over 30 years. That could be the reasoning for the title as well. While Mickey Mouse is in a chunk of the film, he certainly occupies a minority of it, but I suppose Scrooge McDuck's Christmas Carol does have less of a ring to it. The movie itself had a total runtime of 26 minutes and therefore was attached to the theatrical reissues of The Jungle Book and The Rescuers. The film was received positively and was even nominated for the Best Animated Short Film at the Academy Awards that year. It lost to a bizarre claymation movie called Sunday in New York. Regardless, the movie would be picked up to air on NBC television in the following year, a trend that would continue every year, not including the advent of home distribution via VHS and Laserdisc, and it was only a matter of time before Mickey's Christmas Carol was sealed into the Christmas tradition. I love Mickey's Christmas Carol because of its fusion of different Disney worlds. When I was a kid, one of my favorite shows on television was House of Mouse, the main concept of that show being that Mickey runs an entertaining nightclub where all the characters of Disney films go to be entertained. I loved that idea. I loved seeing characters from completely different worlds, and somehow it made sense that they were together here. It's the expert mixing of nostalgia and cleverness. House of Mouse did it well, Who Framed Roger Rabbit did it best, and Mickey's Christmas Carol sits right in the middle. On top of all of that, you have a relevant and heartwarming Christmas tale to bring it all home, and I just love these Main Street windows because it brings this classic story and this classic movie to life in a very special, very Disney, very Dark Ride-esque kind of way. So with that in mind, let us take a second to really take in the awesomeness of these Mickey's Christmas Carol windows here at the Emporium.
Christmas at the Scrooge! What's so merry about it? I'll tell you what Christmas is. It's just another work day, and any jackanapes who thinks else should be boiled in his own pudding.
So of course we got the first scene here with Mickey Mouse as Bob Cratchit, Donald Duck as the nephew Fred, and of course Scrooge McDuck as the titular miser who loves money and doesn't love Christmas, or the Christmas season, or the poor. Scrooge's money is all owned by Wed Federal. Appreciate the hidden Mickey in the lock back there. Lots of little details in these windows.
And so as punishment, I'm forced to carry these heavy chains through eternity. Maybe even longer. I'm doomed!
And now we're on to our second scene where Goofy, playing the ghost of Jacob Marley, has come to visit Scrooge to let him know about the fun Christmas Eve he's about to partake in, as he's going to be visited by three spirits. You got Goofy bobbing up and down here, doing some sort of Christmas disco. Some kind of afterlife disco, maybe. Scrooge McDuck here freaking out, just quaking or quacking, if you will, because he's a duck.
It's old Fezziwig's. I couldn't have worked for a kinder man.
Yes, that was before you became a miserable miser, consumed by greed.
Well, nobody's perfect.
You got the view from outside the Fezziwig Tea Import Company. There you have Scrooge McDuck with Ghost of Christmas Past, played by none other than Jiminy Cricket. And they're looking through the frosted pane window to the party happening with Fezziwig. And there he is, Mr. Toad, back in Walt Disney World once again. Then you have young Scrooge and his lady love Isabel, played by Daisy Duck. And old Scrooge over here watching with perhaps a bit of regret.
Please, let me go. Don't eat me.
Why would the ghost of Christmas present, that's me, want to eat a distasteful little miser like you? Especially when there are so many good things to enjoy in life. See?
And here we are in the fourth scene. The ghost of Christmas present has come to visit Scrooge, and look, once again, he's quacking with fear, shaking his whole bed. Ghost played by Willie from Mickey and the Beanstalk here in gigantic normal form here. Sitting on top of smorgasbord, a feast of Christmas goodies, big turkeys and grapes and a pig for reference. That's how big these goodies are. Holy moly. If the pig is that big, how big is that donut? Ghost of Christmas Present, of course, a man of fanciness and etiquette. Pinky's out, of course. And this may be the only Christmas spirit that actually has spirits. I do love the angling of this scene and almost the forced perspective, so you really get to see how big Willie the Giant is.
The richest man in the cemetery. Please.
And thirdly, we come to the ominous ghost of Christmas future, played by Pete. An intimidating fellow for sure, and he doesn't have a lot of good news for our friend Scrooge, our growing, impassioned friend Scrooge, who has basically been told he gonna die.
Merry Christmas, Bob.
And God blesses everyone.
And then we come to our final conclusion. Scrooge, a changed duck, promises to change his ways, donate to the poor, and give good old Bob Cratchit a raise. He's a good uncle. He's a good Uncle Scrooge. And each of the windows has the ominous, goofy Marley door knocker on top. The windows are good and all, but it got me thinking, the windows aren't enough. What Mickey's Christmas Carol really needs is its own Fantasyland dark ride, and I want to tell you why. Let me please elaborate in the edit. Okay, so let me armchair Imagineer this here. I believe that Mickey's Christmas Carol is one of the best possible options for a quick and classic Fantasyland-style dark ride to be placed right in the heart of the Magic Kingdom. And I think these Main Street windows are proof that it could work. Now, I love and admire Fantasyland dark rides, especially the original ones, for their simplicity. Rides like Peter Pan Flight and Mr. Toad and more are simply straightforward retellings of the Disney stories we know. Whether we're placed in a motor car or a pirate ship or a caterpillar, the joy of just experiencing these films in a three-dimensional environment is enough to elicit a pleasant emotional impact. While advanced in areas and enjoyable, for the most part, these rides aren't technologically groundbreaking at all. They are simply excellent examples of theatrical staging. The beauty of these rides is that they don't depend on grand innovations or know-how. They just add extra charm to stories we know already charm us. This can be done with cutouts, audio animatronics, great transitions. It works because we crave to be inside the story, not just witness it. Though please, our version will have plenty of audio animatronics. So using the work of Imagineering past and using the current windows as models present, I'm going to devise the perfect Mickey's Christmas Carol dark ride, hopefully yet to come. I figure the queue would have to set the scene, much like the beginning credits of the film. While in line, we would pass several snow-covered houses in a brisk London town. Maybe they could pump the AC even higher here. Christmas carols would jingle along all the way. Then we would board our Omnimover vehicle, much in the style of like Haunted Mansion or Journey to Little Mermaid. These Omnimovers would be in the shape of, I don't know, a sled or bedpost. I can't think of a Christmassy thing. Maybe you guys can help me out. So our ride vehicles, however they look, they leave the queue and they turn the first corner and it puts us right into the office of Scrooge's counting house. Just like the first window, we pass by Scrooge, crankily counting his coins as Mickey Mouse sees to the books, shivering all the way. We turn another corner to see our first real cool effect of the attraction. Scrooge stares perplexed at his doorknob, which due to some cool audio animatronic and projection technology will howl and come to life just as it did on screen. Soundbites from the film will fill this attraction, by the way. This will follow us into a short hallway where on one side Scrooge stands along a staircase. Projected on the wall behind him is the shadow of Goofy as Jacob Marley. The movement of the audio animatronic would be simple and quick, perhaps a mere head turn to check on the status of the shadow behind him, always gone by the time he gets his eye contact there. We pass by, we enter into the next room, which looks an awful lot like our second window. Goofy warns Scrooge of the impending haunts that are coming. Goofy would be brought to death, as it were, by utilizing a Pepper's ghost effect to give him a similar appearance to those beings in the ballroom scene in the Haunted Mansion. Then we would enter into another short hallway. Down the stretch we can see curtains waving at the end. Cold air gets pumped into the scene and we find ourselves in a room with Scrooge and Jiminy Cricket, the first Christmas spirit. The track is going to work in such a way here where it will appear like our sled or our bed will actually be flying out the window. And once we're out the window, we will find ourselves flying over London town using a similar effect to that of the EAC and the Seas with Nemo and Friends at Epcot. We'll be bouncing over these houses, bobbing and dropping, getting a really good look at this animated landscape. When this sequence ends, it'll find us in the fun and festivity of Mr. Fezziwig's party. This scene will mimic the liveliness of the dwarf singing and Snow White's scary adventures, a lot of animatronics everywhere, but it will be most important as the triumphant return of Mr. Toad to Walt Disney World. You may think this is a video about a Christmas Carol, but it's really a grassroots concerted effort to get Mr. Toad back to his rightful place here in Walt Disney World. If we look in the background of the scene, we'll clearly be able to observe Scrooge and Jiminy Cricket looking through the frosted glass. Again, audio cues will guide us into the next short hallway with curtains rustling at the end as well. These are the transitions that are going to bring this attraction to life. Here we'll find ourselves in a life-size version of window number 4. Here, forced perspective will be on the best display like never before. Willie the Giant will tower over us, and yet the forced perspective will make him loom even larger. Smells of pies and Christmas goodies will hang heavy in the air. This would take us into another hallway, a slightly longer hallway. On either side, frosted glass pane windows will adorn the stage, behind which are either projected films or perhaps motionless vignettes as we see the current state of the Cratchit family, thankful for Scrooge, the founder of the feast. The hallway goes dark and fills with fog to reveal us into the next scene where a tall and foreboding Pete points Ebenezer to his grave. Our Omnimover will follow his direction and rotate us to find us going into an almost exact replica of window number 5. Pete cackles above as we pass under Scrooge, who hangs above much like Indiana Jones does in Disneyland. And again, much like every dark ride ever made, the ending will be just as abrupt and will find us in the home of Bob Cratchit, and we witness Scrooge, a changed man, or a changed duck I should say. God bless us everyone would echo throughout as we enter the unloading area. Yes, we skip a lot of pertinent parts of the movie, but the beauty of a dark ride is that it knows we know the story, we just get to experience the best parts firsthand. And now the opposers. Come on, you say, a Christmas ride all year? Are you saying a Christmas attraction would work in April? It wouldn't. To those I say, where is your Christmas spirit? Christmas ain't in here, it's in here. I notice I just pointed to Mickey's head, but I'm pointing to my heart. I don't know, there's just something about Christmas time. Something about Christmas time that makes you wish it was Christmas every day, to see the joy in the children's eyes and the way the old folks smile. It just makes you wish that Christmas would never go away. While Christmas the holiday is the catalyst for the story of A Christmas Carol, its motivation is found in its spirit. And besides, do you think an attraction based on a haunted house would do well outside of October? Because it does. What about a ride focused on farming, even though the ultimate harvest isn't until next fall? What about a store, a pungent store, that's sole purpose is to hawk Christmas merchandise? Would that work all year round? Yes, a Christmas ride operating yearly would be a bit unconventional, but I think that would also be a part of its charm. If history is any indication, you install a decently made attraction, people will show up and ride it. But come on, you say, there's no space for it to go. You might argue that. Well, humbug on that. There's plenty of room to expand. In my mind, I see this close to Ye Olde Christmas Shop, but that's in Liberty Square, and Mickey's Christmas Carol takes place in London with the Scottish duck. So that won't work. So how about this? How about the space right here, right behind the castle, along the gateway from Fantasyland to Liberty Square? It is prime real estate, keeping it close to Fantasyland where it belongs, while also putting it in close proximity to the Ye Olde Christmas Shop, because obviously that is a permanent fixture of the park and cannot be easily relocated. All of this to say, the idea is plausible and workable, and I would like it very much. Is it realistic? No. It is not realistic. This will not happen ever. Maybe. Unless we all join together, a grassroots movement. We put bringing Mickey's Christmas Carol to Fantasyland in dark ride form at the top of our Christmas list to Santa Claus. There's probably more movies that are deserving of dark ride interpretations, but I think this one might appeal more to the big guy. This is our shot. This is our moment. We need to get some stamps. In A Christmas Carol, the spirits are all able to do it in one night, but in this perfect Fantasyland dark ride, Imagineers will be able to do it in less than 3 minutes. A special note is you could take this video, started all the way from the beginning, and replace Mickey's Christmas Carol with Muppet Christmas Carol, and I would be equally as ecstatic, if not ecstatic-ier, because they're not up there anymore, and that makes me sad. If you do one thing this Christmas season, watch Mickey's Christmas Carol, or Muppet Christmas Carol, either or. No, both, actually. Watch both. They're both on Disney+, you have no excuse. Then watch the 2009 Robert Zemeckis version. It's a bit darker and more cinematic, but it really nails the surreal and uneasy mystery of a chilly Christmas Eve night. Then watch Miracle on 34th Street, because good heavens, it is delightful. So heartwarming. And then watch Noel. It's cheesy, but it's good. It's cheesy, but it's good. Where was I? I love Christmas time, and I especially love Walt Disney World at Christmas time. Main Street especially, and I like it because it's got those Mickey's Christmas Carol things over there. But I want to feel that all year round. I want to have the option to experience that Christmasness whenever I please. And I really think Mickey's Christmas Carol is the perfect option to explore when coming up with a more permanent Christmas attraction that's not a strange smelling Christmas shop, if you will. Not a bad smelling, just strange. I know there's probably a lot of better movies, more deserving movies especially, that deserve, the little dark rides, but I think right now, in the spirit of the season, that's what my mind's going for. Drop your thoughts in the comments below, like and subscribe. Have a wonderful Christmas time from all of us here at Happy Place Explorers. And until next time, we'll see you in the happy place. Bye.